Hi there everyone. Today we're going to be looking at a news article from Wednesday the 6th of April, and it's an article taken from the BBC News web service, and it's about the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Okay, so there's quite a lot of useful vocabulary in the summary box in the top left hand corner. We've got 6 bullet points, and I'm going to go through each bullet point and explore some of the language in them. So in the first bullet point, this phrase, alleged Russian atrocities. In the second bullet point, gruesome video. In bullet point 3, strewn in the streets. In number 4, debunked claims. In the 5th bullet point, round of sanctions. And in the last one, this word atrocities we're going to look at. Okay, so quite a lot of useful vocabulary there. And as always, I'm not offering any opinion about the news story. I'm only looking at it in terms of language and its meaning. Okay, so now we've got the vocabulary. We've found that in our source material. Next, we're going to be looking at the meaning of the vocabulary in the context in which it's used. I'll also show you some other examples of how we could use the same vocabulary. And finally, at the end, I've got some links, some flashcards and activities for you to practice using the vocabulary yourself. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so this first word, allege, as you can see on the screen, this means something said without proof to have taken place or have a specified illegal or undesirable quality. The key thing here is without proof or without evidence. So the article says that Ukraine's president outlines a list of alleged atrocities in a speech to the UN. So what this is saying is that Ukraine says Russian troops have committed these very serious crimes. However, the reason why the BBC is saying alleged is because this evidence needs to be independently verified. Okay, so Ukraine is saying we have evidence of these crimes, but before the BBC or any other news organization can state this as a fact and say yes, 100% it happened, it has to see the evidence for itself and judge the evidence to be true. So that's why you often see the word allege come up in discussions about crimes until a point in which it's been proven, maybe in a court, or certain evidence has come to light. Okay, so let's look at the use of the word allege in a few more examples. So we can use the word allege in different forms. We can use it as a verb, as in this example, the suspect was alleged to have stolen the car. We can use it as an adjective. The alleged crime took place last Friday. And we can also use it as a noun as well. The allegation of criminal activity was disproven. Okay, so it's 3 examples here using the word allege. You'll notice, as we said with the definition, it's often to do with illegal acts. So here we've got a car being stolen, a crime that took place, and criminal activity. But importantly, again, allege or allegation means something which does not yet have sufficient evidence to say is true. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So the next word is gruesome. So again, on the left of your screen, there's definition. It's an adjective meaning causing repulsion or horror. For example, a most gruesome murder. Now, this is often associated with death or injury. So in this context, the article says Ukraine was showing a gruesome video. So when you hear that, you expect that the video will contain images of people with very severe injuries. For example, it could be gunshot wounds, injuries caused by proximity or being close to explosions. Maybe you're going to see people with missing limbs, so no arms or no legs, and maybe even dismemberment, where the body has been pulled apart. And lastly, you might also see people with evidence of having been tortured. So when you hear a gruesome video, you're not expecting to see something very pleasant. In fact, the opposite. You're expecting to see something extremely unpleasant, often scenes of death or serious injury. So let's look at some examples. So as we said, gruesome is often associated with death or injury. So for example, the detectives arrived at the scene of a gruesome murder. So again, you expect the scene, maybe there's going to be lots of blood or other evidence to indicate a very violent act. The footballer suffered a gruesome leg injury in the second half of the game. So with this, I'm thinking that maybe the leg bone has broken, so it looks very odd, a very extreme injury. Maybe the bone has gone through the skin and there's blood. So again, very, very unpleasant and serious injury. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't use the word without referring to death or severe injury. So one example here I've got is the bathroom at the hotel was in a gruesome state. Now, if somebody said this to me, I wouldn't think there's somebody being murdered in the bathroom. I would understand that the bathroom is extremely dirty or filthy. But it's a really extreme adjective if you're not talking about death or injury. Okay, so that's gruesome. Very, very unpleasant, often associated with injury or death. Okay, so the next word we use is strewn. And in the website, it says civilian corpses were strewn in the street. So this is talking about the civilian bodies, people who are not soldiers, but your normal men, women, and children. So as we see on the screen, the word strewn is an adjective, meaning untidily scattered, so without any order or regular pattern. Example, strewn flower petals. You imagine the petals from a tree falling to the ground, they're not lined up in an exact pattern, they fall all over the place. So looking at our example here, on the left-hand side, we have a table with 6 yellow pens on it. Now these yellow pens are all in a line. So we would not say these are strewn on the desk. These are in a line, they're ordered and a regular distance. So I would say that these yellow pens are lined up on the table. Someone's placed them very carefully at an equal distance. However, the green pens on the table, there doesn't appear to be any order. Some are at the top, some are at the bottom. One looks like it's about to fall off the side of the table. So I would say that the green pens are strewn across the desk. There's no order, no regular pattern in which they're placed. Okay, our fourth term is the word debunk, and it's used in the context of debunked claims. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that debunk is a verb, which means to expose the falseness or hollowness of a myth or idea. So to prove that something is untrue. Okay, so in the context it's used, Russia's ambassador repeats debunked claims about bodies in Bucha. So what does this mean? So Russia's ambassador has claimed that the images and videos of bodies, we spoke about the gruesome video a moment ago, the Russian ambassador says these images are not genuine and have been fabricated or created by actors and makeup artists, by the Ukrainians, to create a false impression of Russian troops' behavior. However, these claims of the ambassador, the Russian ambassador, have been proven to be untrue. So Ukraine said, here's a video showing all these atrocities and the injuries to civilians. The Russian ambassador says, no, this video is fake, not real. But this claim, the video is fake, has been debunked. It's been proven to be a false claim. So let's look at some other examples of using the word debunk. It's often used in association with conspiracy theories. Okay, so here are a couple of examples. Many claims of UFO sightings have been debunked. Okay, so people say, I saw a UFO, I saw an alien, and their story has been proven to be untrue or debunked. Number 2, the claim became so widespread that fact checkers worked to debunk it. So, for example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, some people were making fake claims or false claims about the virus or about vaccines, about the illness, and people worked to prove these claims false, to debunk these claims. Another often cited example, again, conspiracy theories, is to do with the moon landing. People who say the moon landing was an elaborate hoax, so a very complicated piece of acting So the example said, this article debunks the notion that the moon landing was an elaborate hoax. So it proves those people who say the moon landing didn't happen, it proves them wrong. Okay, so the next word we're going to look at is round of sanctions. So we're often used to hearing round as an adjective describing shape, but here it's used as a noun. So definition of a noun: a sequence of sessions in a process typically characterized by development between one session and another. Example, the two sides held 3 rounds of talks, or 3 meetings, and after each meeting they made a little more progress to their end result. In this context, in the article, the European Commission proposes a new round of sanctions. So this means a new set of measures used against Russia as punishment for its actions in Ukraine. It's a new round because there have been several others. So for example, the first round was on 23rd of February, where 336 members of the Russian State Duma, or parliament, were punished. They had some of their foreign assets frozen. They can't use them or can't travel for supporting the invasion. And also 22 high-profile individuals, important people or wealthy people in Russia, were also included in the first round of sanctions. The second round, okay, so they're adding more onto the first round, was on the 2nd of March. And in this round, 22 Belarusian individuals who supported Russia were also added to this list of people who were being punished. Then there was another round, a third round, on the 15th of March. So let's look at these examples. Round of, in this case, sanctions. Some other uses might be the deal was concluded after 3 rounds of intense negotiations. The divorce settlement took many rounds of mediation. Okay, so in our example we had rounds of sanctions, but I could have rounds of negotiation, rounds of mediation. But the common point is the same. The series of meetings or sessions about the same topic, which make a little bit more progress each time. Okay, so in our final video, we're going to look at the word atrocity. So this word came up earlier in the video as well, but we're going to look at it more specifically now. So an atrocity is a noun, and it means an extremely wicked or cruel act, typically one involving physical violence. And in our context on the BBC site, we see that Boris Johnson made a video telling the Russian public that their troops are committing atrocities. So in this video made by Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, Russia is accused of committing war crimes. And these are some of the gravest or most serious crimes in international law. Specifically, war crimes involve acts such as murder or torture, killing of hostages, or wanton destruction of cities, towns, and villages. Wanton means indiscriminate, not targeting, a military institution, a military complex or building, but targeting any building, whether it's civilian, private, public, and also any devastation. So whether that be physical harm to people or property that isn't justified by military necessity. So no connection of those people or those buildings to the conflict that's taking place. So some examples of atrocities. Many atrocities were committed by the Nazis in World War II. And among more recent atrocities include the genocide in Rwanda in 1994, where 800,000 people were killed. I can't remember what I wrote here. But yeah, 800,000 people were killed in interstate violence. Okay, so that's atrocities, the most serious of crime. Okay, so that's the end of this video. I hope you found it useful to see some of these words, how they're used in real life context, what they actually mean, and a few more examples of their usage. I'm going to leave a link to a Quizlet set down in the comment section and video description, and you can use this to review some of today's terms. If you want, please leave some example sentences of your own in the comment section using some of the vocabulary, and I'll be happy to comment on what you write. Okay, so I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, thank you. Goodbye for now.